Dan Frigolette. We are at the Mezzo Comedy Club in Astoria, Queens. Every Wednesday, free show. Come check us out. Again, Dan Frigolette. I am from Baldwinsville, New York, and it is as small as it sounds. That's just outside of Syracuse. And I started back in, I got on stage in 2001, but got serious, came down to New York City in 2005, and decided to start making moves. I was considered a funny person, but I was also a shy kid. So it was like the three people that knew I was funny, that was valuable to me. But so I didn't know how important that was for a while. And then there were some comments made various points in my life. And then I kind of was like, you know what, this actually, this is what I want. So I said, you know what, I'm going to push everything else aside and push for the dream, see what happens. Viva Debris, Syracuse, New York, a guy by the name of Joe DeLion, former magician, amazing comedian, still runs a room down in Florida. And I had figured out that I wanted to get on stage. I'm 20 years old and an arrogant, just ignorant person that thinks they can just do whatever they want to do. So I grab a friend of mine, he's a magician. And so we're like this magic comedy duo walking down to the club. I call, and it's like a 21 and over club. I'm not trying to get a fake ID or anything. I call and I'm like, hey, blah, 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 put my reservation in. I get there and they're like, yeah, you're not 21. My friend, honestly, he still can't grow. He's 26 now. He can't grow facial hair. Like, he looks like a little boy. I asked him to dress like a man, and he showed up in like Adidas All-Stars and like an Abercrombie shirt. And I was like, we're screwed. So I started coming up with, in my mind, what's my pitch now when I get to the door and they tell us that we're not old enough to come in. And so we get there, and they're like, are you 21? I'm like, no, listen. And then so then I pretend like I know what I'm talking about. I'm like, is Joe here? Like, I'm looking around like I know the guy. I don't know him. And so he comes out, and he's like 6'2", and or at least he was at the time. I mean, he's probably 5'10", but he was 6'11" at the time, and he's just like a brooding gentleman with a beard and a deep voice. And he was like, how can I help you guys? And I was like, oh, I'm Dan Frigolette. This is Jim Gravina. He's a magician. I'm a comedian. We just wanted to come check out the club. We're not trying to here to drink. We just want to see some comedy. And he just kind of nodded at the woman who I guess I found out later was his wife and let us in. And at the end of that experience, we actually we ended up making good friends with him. We did some magic tricks for him and things like that. And he said, you know what? I don't have any kids. Come back here every week, hang out with me. You guys are going to be my sons now, and just hang out at the club. So I hung out there all summer, saw a bunch of amazing comedians. And at the end of it, I was like, listen, I'm about to go to London in like 3 weeks. I want to get on stage. He's like, when do you want to get on stage? And I was like, 2 weeks. And so he put me up on like a Wednesday at some benefit it was actually a 40th birthday party for a working comedian, and had my sister and some other people come out and told some dick jokes, and it went well. So I had a good time with it. And then I went to London and hid for 6 months. I got involved in the comedy scene there, but just as a viewer. I was picking up glasses at a comedy club, it was just like that kind of thing. And they were like, you know what, if you want to get on stage, and I was like, no, because it was weird. London's a whole different scene. There's a different level of respect. It's a different level of everything really in London than there is in America. And whatever, I was 20 years old, 21 years old, and I was like, I don't know. I'm still gonna play the shy card for a little while. Started, and now I'm in college, sort of senior year, and I just started, I think it's the end of junior year, and I started either putting together or getting involved in various contests. So maybe I would get on stage 2 times a year. I would go to a club down in Albany, and they'd have a contest where you're like, I think it was a radio station contest, 90 seconds of comedy, and we're going to choose who's the best of the 90 seconds of comedy. So that was always a disaster. But I would come out, and my grandmother would see me perform and gasp when I said something obscene. And almost drop dead right there. So that was a good experience. And then by the end of the senior year, I put together a show that was basically me and a couple guys that I had seen do comedy. And we kind of packed this room in the basement of one of our student centers and had a good show and had a good time. And that was sort of the beginning of the love for the art. I got, like I said, I got to New York, and I was a little bit ignorant, a little bit arrogant, just sort of had a pair of balls in a suitcase, and really that was all that there was. So I got to New York, and I saw what opportunities there were for comedians, and I was like, I don't really like that. So I was like, I'm just going to open up my own show. Who am I? I don't know anybody in New York, 21 years old, no idea what's going on. I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to open up my own show, no problem. So I find some bar. I don't even remember how I met the guy. I don't even remember how I found the bar. But he had a room, and I said, hey, I want to do a show. It was in Manhattan, 7th Street, right off of 2nd Avenue. I was like, I want to do a show. And he was like, let's do it. So I just started going to random comedy shows. There was an amazing venue called Rafifi back in the day. I went to a show, and I had no idea at the time who these guys were, but I mean, it was at the show. This is in 2005. It's Nick Kroll is on the show, who's now doing his thing in L.A. Rob Riggle was on there doing some character stuff, and I met Nate Bargatze, and I thought he was hilarious. I walked up to Nate Bargatze, and I was like, hey, I think you're funny. I'm opening a show. Would you like to be on it? And it was this free show in Manhattan, and it was like, I think I was doing it twice a month or something. And so I was just doing things like that. I would just walk up to comedians and start doing that kind of spiel. And then there was a couple other websites I think that were sort of networking for comedians and things like that. And I would just kind of pull guys off of there and kind of just see what it was like. I have the benefit of actually being a fan of comedy. A lot of comedians don't like to watch other comedians, but I love it. Like I'm sitting in the back giggling like a little girl. Like I love it. So when I find a guy who I think is funny, I would always try to put him on my show and do that kind of thing. I ran a room for about 2 years. We had 2 huge anniversaries, and we had to make changes of days and things like that, and things were going well. I've opened for Lisa Lampanelli, and she's incredible. I mean, just to be around her was amazing, and to see the type of things that she was doing, especially around, and this is around sort of the Pam Anderson roast. This is, like right when she was just starting to break out, and people were starting to be like, well, Lisa, who? And then she would just go out and destroy. That was just an amazing experience to be around that. But right now, Louis C.K., man, I love the guy. I'll go down to the Comedy Cellar and just like hang out and try to go to the bathroom the same time as he does. It's like that kind of thing. I think he's incredible, and his show is amazing. And every hour special that he has, everything he does, I just cry on the floor laughing. He's so good. I'm one of these people that, like, if I just happen to catch a cold, people will think I'm on coke. It's like that kind of environment. I have this room in Queens, Mezzo Comedy Club, and we garnish I just want to throw the word garnish in. That really doesn't have anything to do. But we have a nice, steady audience of people that come back every week. We've been running it for a year, and I just like to kind of mess with the crowd, and I feel like if I'm telling the same jokes every week, there's something wrong. So there's people here that have seen my jokes, so I feel like I can't do that. So I got to constantly write new stuff, tell them about my week, just kind of get comfortable, and try to play with the crowd a little bit, and make it conversational. I think at the beginning of a comedian's career, you try to write the jokes that you think are funny, and they don't necessarily align with your personality, and they don't necessarily align with the voice that you kind of convey to the world. So this has been giving me opportunity running a year of shows to kind of figure out what are the jokes that I should be telling, and how that kind of plays into my personality and what people conceive as soon as they see me, because that's it. I mean, stand-up is you walk on stage, immediately they have an opinion of you, and you can either align with that opinion and just crush, and they can understand, or you twist it and you go completely the other angle, and then that works too. But if you're kind of like riding the line of what people think when they see you, then it gets confusing. Like, I look like a douchebag, and there's nothing I can do to change that. That's what God gave me. So I have to let people know that either I am or I'm not. And depending on the day, it could go either way.